we've talked about this. I'm going to throw this at you real quick. I've said that the next greatest president that we could have would be someone who can do something that truly, Trump has done the impossible for sure, to come back as a fighter. He will fight to the end, and he's not going to surrender, etc. He won't give up on himself or on his mission. If we got somebody in who could actually do the next thing that's even more impossible than what Trump has done, would be to unite this country and bring left and right closer together to where we can actually move forward as one people. I think we're so diverse now that that is maybe not possible. The abortion, the anti-abortion, the right to life people, they're not going to vote for a Democrat who is in any favor of pro-choice whatsoever. They're just not. That's a solid. There's some Democrat people that, if you're not for gun registration and not against,
or just Americans, some Americans are not for this.
I should say Americans. Right. They're just, we're so polarized. I don't mean to get religious on you guys, because I know you guys are not Christian, religious people, but at the end of the day, I think it's coming back, in my mind, it's coming back to morality, and that there are a set of rules that are greater than anything that we can come up with. And when you get away from those rules and you try to run it on your own, human beings are such that you're going to create more and more shit is going to be created that you're going to have to deal with. It's like with technology, you create something that allows you to read your mail faster or whatever. Well, what are the other evil things that come with it? Well, it's going to be used to target you and to fish you or whatever, So at the end of the day, man, we can't escape it. We're stuck here, and we're going to have to deal with,
sort it out or fall.
We're going to have to make a decision as to the Christian would say you have to surrender your pride or whatever, and go with the rules and the what's taught in Christianity to make the world a better place. People on the scientific side will say, oh, we will embrace science and not go with that
theological perspective.
Theology and superstition is the word I hear a lot. Oh, that's just old superstitions. We've got to embrace science and technology to make life better. You still have people who are going to take that technology and use it for evil means. So and you deal with a person who is. I was raised Christian, so when I've noticed you get around certain people who come from that background, and it's a part of them. They're different. They're different than, and one of the reasons why I see things the way I do is because of Christian upbringing, and it's not because I'm a Bible thumping person and I don't want to have any fun, right? But it's just that I see the world in a certain way.
Now, how much of it do you think it's because you had caring, loving parents versus...
And one of the reasons I had, yes, it's very much a part of it. And one of the reasons I had caring, loving parents is because they were founded in Christianity. You can still be caring and loving and not be founded in Christianity.
Or any organized religion.
Yeah. It would be different, though. It would be different. Right. I can tell, man, when I'm around people who...
No, what would you say about like my moral
you're a
compass, right?
deviant.
I mean, kind of, but...
No, you're not. I've known many people who are absolute staunch atheists, okay, or who just are agnostic, and that's just not a part of their life.
No part of an organized religion.
And their morality, the things they do and how they look at life would fit very nicely inside of someone who comes from a Christian
ideal.
Christian, yeah. So it's kind of, that's not enough, but that can be looked at.
It's a solid foundation that you can build upon. Like if it resonates with you to some degree, hey, you could use this as your own like self-belief mechanism to live a better, more moral life. But yeah, that's where, if you remember Andres, our first engineer that helped us do our original drone development, he's Christian, and he like was the type that like, how can you have a moral compass if it's not bound by Christianity or this organized? And that to me was like, wait, you don't have the ability to say what's right and wrong. yourself. Like, you have to have some guidebook tell you what's right and wrong. That to me is, more dangerous, if you will, than, hey.
And you heard what I just said.
Yeah.
There are certain people I've been around, and you would fall into this category that the way you look at things from a moral standpoint would fit into the box of a person like myself, or somebody else who was raised in a Christian home when you were not. Let's say I was. How you look at things and the decisions you make and how you treat other people and all that, just because a person fits and their views fit inside the box with the person who was raised in Christianity, still doesn't mean that there are other things, right, that
can provide that same sort of structure or guidance or moral clarity, or maybe
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is that the way morality and all isn't, and we've been talking about morality. There are other things, though, like
well, I think
one of the things with Christianity, is that you realize how insignificant you are, an individual is, and of course I don't want to. I'm no theologian here, and I don't have a divinity degree or anything.
Do we need to bring
that.
back Duran or Duran?
Yeah, he would have a lot more to say on this, but it's a big. This is something that I wish like the Pope would embrace, because this is in his level. In fact, it would be wonderful if all the Christian leaders, the Pope equivalents,
Yep.
would come together for a new Council of Nicaea kind of thing, and they would sit down and say, hey, you know what? With AI coming in and with all these wars that are happening and terrorism is spiking and all this technology, the world's going to become more and more dangerous. It's one of the great things about technology, or one of the bad things, right? The evil that it can do. If we do,
I think it's more of an equalizer, but
well, technology is making the battlefield. It's different to fight a war today than it was 150 years ago,
Absolutely.
right? I mean,
Yep.
and so
and in some cases, the new technology is making warfare more similar to how it was 100, 150 years ago than what it was 60 years ago, or 40 years ago, or 20 years ago, like the trench warfare. And artillery, prevalence, and given a lot of that hasn't gone away, but it's just as prevalent now as it was, 100 years ago. Maybe not just as, but still prevalent.
To finish the thought I was just throwing is going back to this morality thing, and morality. When I say that, I'm saying recognizing something. It's hard to put in words because to put things good and evil, that's black and white,
right.
pretty much black and white. Nothing's
and we live
black
in a
and
gray
white.
world.
Absolutely,
right.
Everything is hued with color. But it would be great to see the Christian leaders, the Pope and equivalents for all the sects and denominations and whatnot, come together and say, "Listen, we've got to get the word out and try to bring this to people's attention that we're heading, no matter how technologically advanced we become and no matter how easy life becomes due to that technology, there's evil out there, and it's going to get us unless we start taking control or start taking a stand for what's right and what's wrong." Yeah, people need to stand up.
There's the cliche of evil prevails when good men stay silent, something along those. And it's like, that's the default, right? People that have nefarious, purpose, they're going to continue operating whether or not it's okay within the bounds of society. So it takes the people that are, hey, here are the bounds of society. We're going to operate within these bounds to fight back against these nefarious actors, right? And I think that goes back to what you were saying. People need to, and I'm paraphrasing, stand up for what they believe in, essentially. But it's almost been characterized as a negative character trait this day and age to believe in yourself and really speak up for what you think is right, what you believe in, because that might be against the grain, against the societal norm. And a lot of people,
I think that's been in place for
yeah.
a long
right.
since kind of the beginning.
Yeah.
And so
I think it's the roots have grown quite substantially here within the United States over the last few decades, where it's just become more and more pervasive in the way that's become in Europe, where we're just like putting a kibosh on anything new because it's going to disrupt the current status quo.